welcome back to my channel. My name is Mrs. Chidima Igu. I'm a lawyer, a mom, a wife. This channel will talk about God, family, motherhood, career, life, and everything in between. Okay, so welcome back. Today we are going to be discussing about comparison in motherhood. Okay, and you see that today there's a growing pressure on conforming to the standard of perfect motherhood, especially because of social media. We are in today's world, it is very possible for someone to, vlog about your life, say, "Oh, come spend a day with me and see what I'm doing with my children," and all those cute stuff. Now, this might make some mothers who do not understand that social media is a figment of reality and not actual reality begin to compare themselves to other mothers and what they're doing with their children, and if they're getting it right and all that stuff like that. Now, motherhood, as you might have heard somewhere, I'm sure it's not the first time you're hearing that motherhood is a journey that is unique to you and your children. It is not a competition. The fact that Mrs. A can do this for her child or her children does not mean that you must copy the same. Understand that everything about your life is intentional. The circumstances of your life is intentional. You were created to live this life that you live, okay? And the children that were given to you because you're you. And it is only you who can grow those children, nurture them, and harness the greatness in them, and ultimately lead them to their destiny. But if care is not taken, you will end up achieving the exact opposite. You will end up being the one to cause ruin to the life of your child. I'm very sure that no mother wants that. That is why we must be very, very careful with the way we compare ourselves to other mothers. Some mothers even take it a notch far to begin to compare their children with the children of other mothers and probably say it might be their parenting style that makes the difference. I'm not saying that there is no room for imitating something positive. But when it gets to the point where it is like a comparison that is now like a silent competition, that is a no-no, and that is not the will of God. Okay, so the thing is that there is no one size fits all when it comes to you can listen to trainings, classes, retreats, sermons on motherhood. But at the end of the day, there is no one size fits all for this journey, right? You have to stay true to yourself and understand the unique situations and circumstances of your life. Okay. Comparison, they say, is the thief of all joy. This is, in fact, very true and very correct because by the time you're focusing on what other people are doing, it robs you the joy of the moment. Instead of you to focus on what is happening in your life now, and sometimes it makes you distracted from what is more important. And you might miss out on things that God is trying to show you about your child. Okay? And you might miss out on things that God is trying to speak to you on about your family. It is very important that you do not compare your journey to other people. The reasons are quite obvious. Support system is different for different people. Personally, I had to learn to accept that because I have a very demanding career, and I do not have support when it comes to family in terms of taking care of my baby and helping at home and all this stuff. I do not have support from family. What I had was God, right? Yes, God. I had to rely on God. And imagine if I was always comparing myself to people who have relatives who could stay with them or have their mom to stay with them. That's going to make me distracted from the whole thing, the whole purpose. I have learned so much in the last past year since having my child about myself, about life, about God, all because of the circumstances of my life, through the lack of support, through the disappointments I have faced, I and through the seemingly impossibilities, I've begun to see my own potentials. I've begun to learn certain hard lessons about people, about life. And everything happens for a reason. We're meant to learn things for a purpose. This is a disadvantage of focusing on what is happening for other people, because then you don't see how it is happening for you. Secondly, it breeds envy, and envy is the root of bitterness. I tell you what, your children do not need a bitter woman as a mom, because the thing about bitterness is that it's so sneaky. You do not realize you're bitter. You even argue with anybody who tells you that you're bitter because of the self pride that we have. However, at the end of the day, it begins to sit into our life. It begins to show up in places, in areas of our life, and we begin to do things that we never thought we could do. It is comparison that will lead to you struggling. A lot of struggle, most of the time, more likely to be mental than actually physical. Okay, it is important to embrace your journey. Every story is different, and it is a journey for a reason. Everybody's story cannot be the same thing. Imagine if we were all living out the same script. How boring and predictable life would be. Embrace your journey, embrace your story. Remember that comparison steals the joy of motherhood. It is when you're comparing the circumstances of your life that you will be blind to seeing the miracles and the blessings right in front of you. It is very important to embrace self compassion as a mom. And when you do make mistakes, give yourself grace. There's something I always tell myself when I do not know how to handle a situation. I try to remember that I've not been here before. I've not lived this life before. And no matter what anybody had told me, nobody really groomed me for this time. And I gave myself that grace to say, I'm learning and it's okay to make mistakes, right? And also, refrain from having associations with people who their own version of life, of their own orientation of life is focused on comparison. There are people who cannot help themselves, who cannot say two things without comparing themselves to other people and talking about how they are doing better than other people. Refrain from associating as much as you can with such people, because what that does to you in the long run is that your association is, tell me your friend and I'll tell you who you are. To a large extent, evil communication corrupts good manners. Okay, so what that does for you over time is that you find yourself trying to see, judging how well you're doing by how badly another person is doing. That is not life. Okay. Um, be kinder to yourself. Remember that comparison is the thief of all joy. And most importantly, every mother is doing their best, okay? And that is what is more important. Do your best and let God handle the rest. If you found this video very helpful, like the video, share it, and subscribe to my channel. Till I come your way next time. Bye bye.